Hello, my name is Cara Syers, and this is my presentation for Module 3. I teach at Arapahoe High School. I teach biology and physiology. It's a part of Littleton Public Schools, which is in Centennial, Colorado. So this is my report on that community. In terms of the nuts and bolts, the city of Centennial was founded in just 2001 with a population of over 100,000, so it's a pretty large suburb of Denver. It's technically been around a lot longer than 2001, but was just had some counties reincorporated, so it got a new name. The median age is 40. Well over half are college educated and have a bachelor's degree or higher. It's predominantly white, with the next highest population being Hispanic, and then as you can see, very other small numbers of diversity in terms of Asians, African Americans, and other races. The school that I teach in, like I said, is a part of Littleton Public Schools, and the district is approximately 50 years old. We've got 15,000 students K through 12, serving preschool, kindergarten. There's 13 elementary schools. My kids actually go to one of them. 4 middle schools, 3 high schools, and then an alternative options and 2 charter schools as well. It's a fairly affluent community. 90% of our graduates are college bound. And an interesting fact is that 20% of the students actually open enroll from other districts in nearby areas. So that's kind of a positive mark on our district, that a lot of people choose to come even though it's not their neighborhood school. As an honor with our state, we've been accredited with distinction for 4 years in a row. In terms of just the customs and traditions of the community, as I said earlier, it's our newest city, and it's just located in a southern suburb of Denver. It's a large suburb, over 100,000, but it's got a kind of a small town, old-fashioned feel. I'd say it's really family friendly. Many parents and families return to the community that they grew up in. So, they went to the school and now they move back into the neighborhood and are raising their children there. I'm one of them. I live and teach in the same neighborhood I grew up in. My parents live 5 houses down the street from me. I guess relative to the state, now that you think of Colorado as the pot state, our community is relatively conservative. The predominant religions are Catholic and Christian, and there's some Latter-day Saints as well. And I would just say, more than anything, I guess the Colorado lifestyle is kind of a tradition and a custom. Everybody sort of embraces what our weather and mountains have to offer, so skiing and snowboarding, hiking, biking, and of course rooting for the Broncos and the Nuggets and all of our Colorado sports teams. Specifically, my school has a pretty neat custom and tradition that I felt was worth mentioning. We are the Arapahoe Warriors, and so prior to about 1997, we had the traditional cartoony Indian mascot that has been going away more and more. But rather than just abandon it altogether, our principal at the time reached out to the Arapahoe Indian tribe in Wind River, Wyoming, and worked with their tribal elders. He actually went up there and had a whole 3-day sort of meeting with their tribal artists and their elders to create a mascot, the one that you see to the right, that was supported by the tribe. In addition, we put a bunch of rules in place for where you can display the warrior, how you can display it. Just as an example, it's never on the floor because you can never step on it. It certainly can't be printed on, the butt of sweatpants or anything like that. So it's really a cool relationship we have with them, and then every year they send members of their tribe down to our school, and we have a really awesome renewal relationship with all of the students. The tribal members dress in their, ceremonial robes, and there's drums, and we just kind of reestablish that we have a mutual relationship of respect. So it's something that is really neat and a neat tradition in our school. In terms of the communication channels, as you can see, we're a suburb of a pretty large city of Denver, so there's multiple TV stations that would be used in the case of disseminating information for school closures or something like that. There's multiple radio stations, and I just picked kind of the top 4 or 5 of each one. We have one major newspaper in the city, the Denver Post, and then we also have some local media like the Centennial Citizen, which is just kind of neighborhood news. In terms of our district, we make high use of the internet. So the district has a web page, every school has a web page, almost every teacher has a web page, and then in addition, short bursts of information are passed on through Twitter and Facebook and all of the social media that's so popular today. I would say that the community gets most of their information just from their electronic device, their iPhone, their iPad, So everything is mobile. The mobile news apps, Twitter, text alerts, a lot of teachers use that for homework reminders, all of those things. And I just found an interesting fact on the Centennial City web page that just in 2014, in December, Governing Magazine recognized the city as the most internet-connected city in the nation, as long as that city had a population over 100,000. So I think like 98% of every home was supplied with the internet. So that made sense that most of the information is going to go through the web. In terms of community groups, I really struggled with this slide because the large size, due to the large size of our city, it was just difficult to kind of identify and list any community groups. I'm sure that every city that there is, we have all of the traditional community groups. The ones that I'm interact with and I'm aware of that actually come into the school are extremely supportive. So I'll talk more about Arapahoe in the school alone. In our school, there's 27 school-sponsored clubs and groups. That's just the ones that are sponsored, and then there's a handful of groups that kids do on their own without sponsorship as well. So I just listed a few below that are actually outreach based, or that would reach a greater number of the community. So of course our student newspaper and yearbook, that's fairly obvious. I'm sure every school has that. We have a really cool garden club. So we have a botany class that started a community garden, and they plant the vegetables every spring, and then over the summer cultivate them. And this year alone they were able to donate like 100 pounds of vegetables to local food banks. We also have a sports broadcasting club that just started this year, which allows our high school students to actually sit at sporting events and live stream what's happening, so people out of state can listen to their grandson score a basketball, a basket, or score a touchdown, which has been really popular. And then we also have a wish week where we choose a group to raise money for. The last few years it's been a group called Adams Camp, and so we raise money through the teacher-student basketball game and some concerts to donate money for them. So lots of cool community involvement going both ways, with people coming into our school and then also kids giving back. In terms of the leadership of the city, we have 1 elected mayor and then 8 council members, 2 from each of the 4 districts. And then within our school, just again, as with most, I guess, larger school districts, we have a 5-member board of education, our superintendent, and then specifically because I'm in a high school, we do have a director of secondary ed, followed by my actual building principal, and then underneath her are 4 assistant principals, the athletic director, kind of our dean, our student activities coordinator, and then sort of our official assistant principal who does our scheduling and all of that stuff. I would say in regards to these community leaders, they're all fairly accessible and transparent. The most information I could find about just the Centennial elected officials was just all on the webpage. I listed the webpage right there, but you could find everything from their personal bio to budget reports. They actually live broadcast their meetings, and of course you could find their minutes. So to me it seems fairly easy to get the information that you need in regards to city information. I also thought it was pretty cool that they all live and work in the community that they serve. In regards to our district, I would say the same thing goes. Everything basically for this presentation I was able to access off of our district webpage, and I could have gone into a lot more detail with minutes and meeting schedules. If I wanted to attend a Board of Education meeting, I could find that. All of the agendas and contact information are all posted there. And then I would say, in addition, all of those people are traditionally pretty visible at school functions, sporting events, concerts, that sort of thing. So I would say that for the most part, they are willing and open to interaction from the community. The economic conditions of Centennial, of our city, I would say it's fairly affluent. Average household income is over $100,000. Home values are pushing $300,000, and surprisingly, when I researched into it, the residents with income that were below the poverty level was only 5%. Sales taxes listed there. And then I just thought it was kind of interesting that most of the city's employment base is in finance and insurance, and then kind of professional, scientific, technical service industries. Due to two large school districts, there's also a good population of people employed by educational services, construction, and then retail trade, where they're always opening new, little community areas with, stores and restaurants, but outdoor areas for ice skating and just cool community ways to bring people together. I answered this slide in terms of just our school in ways that I guess the school district and the government overlap. And so I found it comforting to know that our district has, representatives in the legislative process at the state capitol. We also have just a committee whose main role is to meet with the representatives, the legislators that represent LPS, and kind of keep them up to date and informed about what issues are specific to our district and just kind of the education world in general. A very positive way that our community kind of overlaps with politics is that every single time in the 15 years that I've worked at the school, there's been a mill levy or a bond on the voting docket, to help increase funding for our school. It's passed, and I think that says a lot about our district because it's over 50 years old. That means a lot of families are aging as well, but they're still willing to support the school and pay a little bit extra money via taxes to help our buildings stay in top shape. And then kind of the biggest one on the forefront for me as a teacher right now is just that we're actively involved in the new Senate bill. It's called Senate Bill 191, which is just the teacher evaluation program. But we're really trying to get our influence in there, knowing that teacher jobs will be tied to evaluations. That's kind of an important way that we're getting involved. I guess for this slide, power structure, I mentioned two different types of power. Official, obviously, like every other district, we've got the Board of Education, superintendent, principal, the general flow. But then I would also say there's some unofficial power where people involved in athletics and affluence have a little bit more say. And I think for the most part it's positive, but I guess if you had students who were not involved in athletics or fine arts or anything like that, you may feel that influence wasn't equitable. Because we have very little diversity, I would say that there's little to no interracial or religious confrontation. There's no gangs that I'm aware of, but I would just say our major cliques would arise because, again, of affluence and interests. So the biggest example I can mention is students involved in extracurriculars seem to love our school. They love the teachers, they love the coaches, and then students that are not involved usually typically feel left out and that the faculty doesn't want to care or invest in them. And I'm sure maybe that's a little bit true, unintentionally. It's just that we have less opportunities to interact with those students, and so inevitably they will feel left out. Multicultural issues, again, we have a predominantly white community with some Hispanics, and I would say just from my perspective, and again, I'm not Hispanic, so I guess I don't know for sure, but I would say that for the most part we embrace the Hispanic culture and have festivals and really celebrate their heritage. In terms of Arapaho, my school, again, I would say that our major cultural focus is that the Arapaho warrior, and that we are all a warrior no matter what race or ethnicity, which is kind of a really great area of pride for students. It unifies the school. I can't identify any other major multicultural issues, but maybe that is the main issue, that I'm not aware of it, and maybe we do need to celebrate diversity a little bit more within the school. And then the last slide that I'll mention is just, I would say in regards to public opinion, if people have one, they have multiple opportunities to get involved. There's always online surveys and feedback forms on our webpage. You can attend the board meetings, you can become a member of an accountability committee, you can join the PTO, you can attend events, you can be a volunteer. So those may not be viewed, I guess, directly as a way to voice your opinion, but I think by becoming a part of the school, you get to really see what's going on there and, decide what truly is important to you to voice ultimately at meetings where change could be made. So that is my report on my school district and my community, and the last slide I will share is just the sources that I used to get my information. Thank you.